Or 30 seconds, Chad, from packing up. And down over to the left by this little pavilion looking thing, this coyote lets out, man. And I mean a deep, he's, and it's echo, and he's right here, but he's just out of sight. Then I went, I believe, to broke pups. And that's a good sound. It seems, at least for me, for breaking coyotes that are kind of hanging up. And we went to broke pups. My buddy goes, "Don't move." And I just, he says, "Don't move." Of course, I just can, And as I just moved just a little bit, and he just popped up, just about this much of him sticking up over the hill. And I get to see he just dumps his coyote, and he's got the old leg up.
Welcome to the Outside Podcast, where the dark ain't the end of the day, it's just the beginning. Around here, we dive into the gear, the strategies, and the real stories from the field. No fluff, no hype, just straight talk from folks who live it. Brought to you by Alpha Outside, your go-to source for top-tier thermal night hunting equipment. If it happens after dark, we're on it. From expert tips and battle-tested optics to the kind of hunting wisdom you won't hear anywhere else, Alpha Outside. Whether you're seasoned or just getting started, this is where serious night hunters get the insight they need to stay sharp, shoot straight, and hunt smart. So grab your rig, settle in, and let's get after it. This is the Alpha Outside Podcast. And now your host, Chad Ammon.
Hey, welcome back to episode 2 of the Alpha Outside Podcast. Tonight we got Craig Costello here.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to talking with you. So.
Yes, sir. What's been going on?
Oh, not too much, man. Trying to get out and hunt just a little bit. I've been really busy with work and all that kind of stuff, but I have made it out just a couple of times here in the last couple of weeks and been fairly successful. So
what are you into usually when you're not hunting coyotes?
Working, take care of the family, man. Got a pretty busy family. Just mowing the mother-in-law's grass, taking care of my wife who's got some health trouble. It's just busy times, man. It's tougher and tougher to find time to hunt, to be honest.
Going back into early days, what'd you cut your teeth on? What did you do growing up hunting?
Man, so my dad took me hunting ever since I can ever remember. I mean, it was knee-high to a grasshopper. So he worked at Consolidation Coal Company, and he had permission to hunt their property. So that's what we did. I mean, he drugged me around deer hunting since I was old enough to carry a gun. And we spent lots and lots and lots of time in the woods. He's took me all over the country. I was young. I was very lucky to travel to Colorado, Wyoming, South Dakota, pheasant hunting, you name it. So it was very, very fortunate to get out.
Moving into lately, you bought a bunch of gear off of me, a bunch of units. How's that evolved for you? So
it's been great, man. You find that you want to feel different things in the way that you're hunting. Of course, I got the adder from you first. It was a great scope. I did well with it, killed lots of coyotes. I had a friend who had a AGM varmint, and with the rangefinder, man, when we would be out and having trouble for depth perception, not knowing if a coyote's 200 yards or 300 yards, I felt like a rangefinder was the logical next step. I mean, he could range them, and I would think that coyote's 150 yards, and it would be 250 yards, and vice versa, you know what I mean? And so it helped with that, and I ended up getting the iRay GL35R. It's a great scope, man. What I have it about a year?
Yeah.
So it was a great scope. Did really well with it. The only problem I had is I have astigmatism in my left eye, and it's my shooting eye. And so I struggled just a little bit with seeing the reticle. It didn't matter how much I cleared it. It just didn't work for me, man. I would let other people look through it, and they were perfectly fine. The image was great, but I struggled just a little bit with that. I had this thing for going back to a bolt gun. I'm a bolt guy, And so with the new caliber restriction change, and I want to go to a 243. So it's time for another scope, right? Yeah. Talk with you about the Adder V2. I mean, it just kind of, for me, in the price range, man, it just filled all the blanks, right? It's got the rangefinder, it's got the ballistic compensator, And I noticed from my first AGM that I was able to see the reticle a lot better, you know. And so I was coming up to your house and looking through the second one, when I can immediately clear the reticle and felt like I could aim a lot better. Well, that was the scope for me, right? So, but 640 or 1280 is probably the next time I'll be knocking on your door. So, but I love it. I put it to work the last couple nights, and it's been really good, man. Yeah, it's looked great.
I want to get into you about that tripod you're shooting, just real quick.
I can't remember completely how we got on that, but I think you had it, or I know it's the Really Right Stuff leveling head. It's what, two vets? What do you know which model it is?
QDT V2 LS.
It's a great tripod, man. Of course, how everybody else starts, I was running a bog death grip, and it was heavy and clunky, and then I didn't like putting my gun in it and clamping your gun down, and then, of course, you didn't feel like you could carry your rig with it on there, right? You were going to lose your weapon. And I've heard a few horror stories. I talked with you about that tripod and come up and seen it. And I mean, it took me about 5 minutes, man, of looking through your weapon and having it in my hands. And it's really well built. I'm left-handed, of course. And then the way the leveling head works with just the adjustment right there underneath, that's so simple for me. My buddy's running the Fat Boy, and they're super nice. I'm not taking anything away from them, but I don't feel as adjustable as I do just turning that thing. And I think you're still running the Really Right Stuff head, right? So yeah, it's been a great component, and I think it's a little lighter than some of the other tripods on the market. Game changer from going, you see the guys that are like, oh, a tripod's a tripod, but if you get a good tripod and you can hold twice as steady at distance, I mean, it's just going to make for more coyotes.
Well, we're going to jump into something maybe you don't want to talk about.
Maybe
okay. You do, but you kind of went ghost online over the last couple of years. When I first met you, you was posting. I was like, man, this guy's killing a bunch of dogs. And then all of a sudden you go quiet and I don't see anything. And so I didn't know if you quit.
I took a step back from posting on social media. There's lots of reasons. I mean, with a short podcast, I could sit and say for hours what all the reasons are. I felt like one is just being over scrutinized. Everything that you post, first thing a lot of people do is just jump on the negatives of what's going on. They'll say, well, that little, you post a picture of your daughter's deer, and they're like, well, where's her orange jacket? Well, she just took it off for the picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Being silly, but hunting's kind of a bit of a spiritual thing for me. I take it very seriously. It's my time away, and sometimes I feel like you can overshare. I'm a little bit of a private person when it comes to that. As chatty as I am, hunting is my thing, So it just felt right to kind of step back just a little bit, maybe not post as much, feel like you're bragging per se. You like to share with people, right? I love to share, but just that feeling of it just didn't feel right for a little bit. If you've noticed lately, I've just slowly but surely started putting my toe back in, right? I mean, just posting just a little bit, just making sure that I'm doing it for the right reasons, for myself first, But my love for the sport, I do like to share the information with other folks and see them have success. So,
go into some stories, maybe one lately, or maybe one that stands out, or maybe your best ever that stands out. What
are we talking coyotes?
We don't have to talk coyotes. Anything that stands out?
So there is one, man, that I could share with you, and it's a deer hunting story. I could share you two quick ones. Just move me along. We run out of time. But one of my best friends in the world was Lee Kiesling, and we were really close for about 20 years. And he passed away from COVID, man, recently. It's been a couple of years now. He went through some health trouble, and I won't get into all that, but was very, very sick for a long time. And he got his health back somewhat, and we were able to make a trip out west to Nebraska. And we had a rough hunt. I killed a nice buck on the first day. I tried to get him on it, and he struggled a little bit with finding it in a scope and being nervous and so on and so forth. But we're on public land. So you got to get this deer killed. He says to me, just make it happen, man. You get it killed. And so I shoot this buck at long range, nice 5x4 muley, The rest of the hunt, we're 3-4 days in. We're just not doing very good. And we ran into a landowner, and we were at a Pizza Hut, and I started talking to this guy, and I was like, hey, I've got a guy we're really trying to get a deer on. We talk with him a day or so, and we're down to dumps, man. We're not doing any good. And so we get a call from him a night, and that gentleman says, hey, listen, the Lord's led me, invite you down to hunt. And long story short, we took him down the next day and just had a crazy hunt. I mean, like we could go on for an hour about it. My friend was able to take a dandy buck, big 4x4 muley, and to watch him, I'm gonna get emotional on you, man, but to watch him go through that after everything he'd been through a bone marrow transplant and was really sick. To watch him do that was just absolutely amazing. And take this buck the last minute of the last part of the hunt. That was probably, honestly, and it's not an animal that I took, but that was probably the pinnacle of my hunting career, was to watch my friend take that deer. It was amazing. He's been going, Alex said, a couple years, and so not this past season, but the season before, his son blessed me with his bow. And so I decided, obviously, that I'd take this bow hunting. He was a hunter. I wouldn't want to keep it as a keepsake. I had this buck that I had a little bit of history with, and I had on trail cam the previous year after that I had taken my buck. And it was Pennsylvania. It's a one buck state. This buck shows up out of the blue on one of my trail cameras. My son and I went to check the trail camera, and this buck, we missed him by 17 minutes in the middle of the day in the rut.
Wow.
So I told my son, I said, run me home. I got to get a quick shower and get in a tree, So I jumped in the tree. The wind wasn't even perfect, really, for where it needed to be, but not too bad. I'm sitting there 30 minutes. Here this buck comes pushing a doe out, man. It's a big rigmarole to get him stopped and all that. But finally, his doe comes out. She knows something's not quite right, but he's so interested in her. He's grunting and stuff. And she slips back into the woods. Well, I mean, and I should have said they're only like 22 yards. So, I mean, I'm locked up, you can't move, you can't breathe, you feel like. And so she runs in, and he kind of tries to bump her as she goes. And when he turns his head to go the other way, man, I come to full draw. Oops. Get him stopped just as he's going to the woods, man, let him have it. And I hit him just a little high and back. And I thought, oh no, I cannot lose this deer, especially with this bow. There's a lot of pressure there for me, especially. So we waited a couple hours, backed out, and I gathered up some buddies, and we went back after this deer expecting a long track, and the deer didn't go 50 yards. He's laying there, and it was a big, wide 10-point. It was 22 and a quarter, I think, inside. Best buck of my life with my best buddy's bow.
You showed me the picture. I remember when you
just I don't know, man, like how something could just be better than that, And I was very emotional. Of course, I cried for 20 minutes. He was one of my best buddies, so that was definitely something I wanted to share with you on this. I mean, that's it, man. I mean, I could of course share a bunch of coyote stories, but we'll get into that.
Let's hear about the one last night.
A good friend of mine is his name's Kurt. He's got a lot of nice properties, you know what I mean? He's just very vigilant about going and getting permission, which is, man, that's the ticket, right?
Yes.
Especially these days where there being so many hunters, the more folks you ask, the better. And then, but also it's like, I'm starting to ask now, and people have already have hunters,
Yeah, so, I asked last night. Right. I went to.
Well, was it somebody that already had hunters?
Yeah. Already had hunters.
Right. And I get that a lot, and sometimes they're like, well, hey, you can hunt too. One, you feel like you're stepping on somebody else's toes. You don't want to intrude on another hunter. But at the same time, you don't know what they're doing with the coyotes and so on and so forth. And, I've run into some kids. One gentleman I hunt on, he's got a young boy, and he's like, he never does any good. And we went up, and it's like, it's constant action. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of maybe just running the right stuff, having a little bit of experience. We go up on this ridge, and it's a big cattle farm. The grass is getting kind of high, but it's down enough that we could hunt. We've got some history with the farm. We killed quite a few coyotes out there. We go out. I think I started with, some of the bougie pup house. We run some bougie pup house. I run like, not got milk, birthday pup. Run a little bit of birthday pup. Had been having some success on that about a week and a half back. So run that, nothing. Run a couple other little pup sounds, nothing. Run a couple pup fights, nothing. run a den smash, nothing. So we're just now we have the habit of, at the say the 25-minute mark, we'll just stand there, and wait 5-10 minutes, man, because a lot of coyotes, when the sound goes off, for me at least, come sneaking in afterwards. They want to they wasn't maybe wanting to come when the sound was running, but after they want to come see what's going on. We're standing there, and I mean we are 30 seconds, Chad, from packing up, and down over to the left by this little pavilion looking thing, this coyote lets out, man, and I mean a deep, he's, and it's echo, and he's right here, but he's just out of sight. So he did it like 3-4 times, and we got to try to get him killed. So I went back to a pup sound, and nothing, and then I went, I believe, to broke pups, and that's a good sound. It seems, at least for me, for breaking coyotes that are kind of hanging up. And we went to broke pups. My buddy goes, "Don't move," and he says, "Don't move." Of course, I got to scan, and as I just moved just a little bit, yeah, that's what he says. He says, "Don't move," and I'm like, I got to find this coyote. I want to watch him shoot it, and so I turn, and this coyote is right here, and I mean, he is inside of 30 yards, and he just popped up, just about this much of him sticking up over the hill. My buddy's pretty good, he's already got his hand on his gun per se as he's scanning. So he's immediately on the rifle. And I got to see he just dumps this coyote, and he's got the old leg up. But yeah, it was a great hunt, man. And I think we made 4 stands, but now that was the only action we had. We did not hear another coyote the rest of the night, but I'll take one every night, It was a good hunt.
So something I didn't say when I introduced you, and I meant to tell everybody that you was the Alpha Games 2 winner.
I got to give my buddy Jared Simpson the credit, man. Listen, he was dumping them that night. I was missing dogs and just had a lot of mishaps. So he was able to anchor us two of the 3 coyotes, and so we ended up having a really great hunt. You want to tell you this?
Yeah. So your partner's Jared, and your team name.
Yeah, we're Natural Born Killers.
Born Killers.
Yeah, so I can't remember if that was from a movie or what, but we come up with that name in about 5 seconds, and we were like, it just sounds cool, whatever, So he's really into it, man. He's made stickers, and we got all kind of gear.
I saw your logo.
Yeah, he built us a logo and stuff. So we're gonna maybe try to slowly expand on that a little bit. It's pretty fun, We actually started on that same farm that my buddy had permission on. He'd got us permission there to hunt that farm because it's a good place, always an opportunity for a coyote. We called in a couple coyotes pretty quick. We heard them back to our right, and luckily for us, they didn't work the wind. They came below us, and they were in another little field down through the woods, maybe about 250 yards. But there were some treetops and things, and the wind was fishy, and they're just not coming. So we pulled, the old 1, 2, 3, and swing and a miss on both coyotes. And so they run back. We just scrolled through the sounds a little bit, and here come this coyote back. And my buddy Jared, who's been an ace shooter lately, he dumps this coyote, and we watched it roll over backwards. So we waited a minute, whatever, and go down after this coyote. We couldn't find him. You're on the time clock, and we're 45 minutes looking for this coyote. And finally, he had just rolled and rolled and rolled down over in a little shelf and under some logs, and we were able to get him. As you know, we talked some about it. We were a hot mess. I mean, we were messing up the videos, and honestly, it was one of the first hunts I've ever been on. So we were just excited and nervous, and the pressure of trying to keep moving. And we killed 2 more coyotes that night. And I'm trying to think, I know the one was was a farm in a little valley, and this dog come down from the left. And my buddies had a little bit of trouble. When you go to slam your AR, makes so much noise. We've kind of got to pulling it back and just shoving it forward and then just hitting the forward assist. Well, he's done that a couple times and not picked up a round. I mean, he's on this guy 50 yards. He's click. I'm like, oh my gosh, So he's trying to work on his gun. So I just grabbed my tripod and stepped to his left a little bit, or to his right, and shot this coyote. While he's trying to fix his stuff, he's lip squeaking, kept his dog there so I could shoot him. So I shoot this dog, so now we get 2. We're rolling, of course we're watching, everybody's getting one here and there. We're like, man, okay, on the next spot, on the next spot. We went to another farm that I really like. And I didn't mention that we were on the rabbit that night. I know that sounds, everybody thinks, everybody lies about burning the rabbit. Every set, we were starting with the rabbit, man, and they were really just eating it up. We weren't having to play a lot of other stuff. And he hammers this third coyote, just, he's done. So now we've got 3, and we talk with you, and we're like, hey, man, we're leading this thing. We went to a couple other spots and had a couple dry stands, and so we just kind of sat there at the end. We were out of properties, really, to anything within reach. So we just watched the clock, tick, 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 and then talked to you to find out that we'd won.
Long hour or two, wasn't it?
The last hour, it's getting daylight and all that. And we just weren't seeing nothing. We weren't hearing nothing. So yeah, we just kind of sat and watched the clock, and so it was awesome, man. We'd had a couple blanks, so it was a great hunt for us. So.
Was it rough hunting all night like that?
Yeah, I mean, as we get older, right? I'm getting old, man. It's not so hard to hunt. It's hard to stay focused, right? And make sure that you're doing the right things. So, and that's what we started to do. We're not seeing a coyote till it's leaving and these things, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, it was an awesome hunt, and I appreciate you having us in it. We're looking forward to doing it again this year. So
we'll do it again December time frame.
Adding to that real quick is, so now we're into summer, right? We start counting coyotes. Like every coyote we kill, we're like, man, should we be saving some of this prime stuff? So, you got to ask yourself with that, are you going to wait? Are you going to save some prime properties? But we love to hunt, right? We love to hunt and get out there. And then, of course, you have the obligation to the landowners. I just killed a coyote last week on a sheep farm, and they'd called me and said that they had one on camera that had a lamb in its mouth. So,
wow,
that at that time you can't say, hey, I got to save that property for December. So I run up there and managed to get a female killed and hopefully helped them out.
Yes, let's talk about some of what you know. If you had to break it down for the new guys, what do you feel the biggest mistake that a new hunter is making?
Probably, honestly, we talked about this a little bit, is just thinking it's more complicated than it is, right? Everybody thinks that there's like a secret sound or something that is the magic pill. And I really have found that different sounds work every night. So the simple things, man, don't slam the truck door. Starting out maybe a little quiet, don't go screaming on 40. And we have talked to a lot of people. They either play their call all the way up, or they're playing their call so quiet that probably coyotes aren't hearing it. Right. You know what I mean? You know that they can hear, but after watching, some of the pros and whatever, I've started to turn my call up a little more. More than anything, it's just the simple things, man. Don't overthink it.
Do you walk in with a light?
I do not. I try to walk in completely in the dark if I can help it. And then also, we kill the occasional coyote scanning our way in. We never just get out of the truck and walk in.
Yeah, hunt your way in.
Right, yeah, and we've killed several without ever turning the call on, right? And then also, if you have a coyote that maybe you don't see that's within 100 or 200 yards, you did those things. So when you get in there, and now you're in his wheelhouse, and you turn the call on, man, he's responding immediately. But yeah, more than anything, man, keep it basic, and don't be afraid to experiment. I think everybody thinks that you're going to overeducate coyotes really quickly, and some guys may disagree with me. You can run several sounds, but don't get crazy. My buddy calls really quiet and really simple, and I don't put a lot of time in between sounds, and I burn a lot of sounds. And before we got to be friends, we both killed coyotes in the same areas, hunting with two completely different strategies.
That's what I was going to ask. You're probably a little more aggressive then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would say I'm definitely an aggressive caller. I don't mess around, man. Like I don't wait 5 minutes in between sounds and all that. I'm going from one sound, maybe a minute, to the next sound, to the next sound, to the next sound, and just working your way through triggers.
And so, like, if you have one sitting out there at like 400 yards, you just try to trigger him.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've seen guys that said, well, I could see these ones out there and they just wouldn't come. So we just left. I'm not leaving that coyote. I mean, plain it's, I'm going to burn sounds till we kill him or run him off.
Are you more prey oriented, or do you like coyote vocals, or does it depend on the?
Probably the time of year, right? So I would say in the winter, I run a lot more prey distress. They're more food oriented. They're hungry. But now we will run some fawn distress this time of year. That's a good starter. Definitely more vocal heavy this time of year versus the winter. And then I'll burn even 2 or 3 different. I might run 2 rabbits and a bird in the winter before I ever start into a vocal. What about you? I mean,
Probably more coyote vocal heavy.
Yeah.
I used to when I started. I killed a lot off prey, and anymore it seems like I think I've just went away from it. Not that it doesn't work.
right.
I just went away from it. But usually all my stands I'll play at least one prey, at
Right.
least, and
Right.
it could be a rabbit.
I'm sure you're going to ask later, but do you have a particular, you have a go-to prey that you want to share?
Cottontail sauce.
Yeah.
Or tell you, there was one this winter I used a bunch, and it was really good for me. Devil's hair.
Yes.
That's an old.
That's an old sound,
Fox
but
Pro.
it is a very, very good sound.
That's an old Fox Pro sound, and you don't hear people talk about that, but it works.
I'm going to let the cat out of the bag here a little bit and share you 2 quick ones that are way off the scale. Years back, we, run Johnny Stort stuff. That's all there was. I like Johnny Stort baby cottontail and then Johnny Stort high-pitched cottontail. And I ran into some CDs that had the downloadable version, and I was able to put those on my Fox Pro. So I feel like those are sounds that probably not a lot of folks are running. Everybody's running the MFK stuff, whatever's on the Fox Pros. But there's another tip for folks starting this. Find a sound that you think maybe that 50 people aren't. Everybody's playing Eastern Cottontail, right? Yeah. So finding a couple sounds that maybe are a little harder to find.
When it comes to like a pressured area, you hunt any different than farms that are loaded with coyotes?
Probably not much. These days, I think everything's pressured, right? Probably hunt them just about the same. Maybe be a little less aggressive. One of the things would be is staying on stand longer. You and I have had discussions about that before. We killed that coyote. We pressured this farm kind of hard that we hunted last night, and we killed that coyote at the 31-minute mark. I felt like that was as late in the stand as I've killed very many coyotes. I've killed some to 20, 25 minutes, but I've killed a few beyond 30 minutes. But that was right there at the end of the stand. I mean, how many guys are leaving at 15, 20 minutes max?
A lot.
So that would probably be the main thing, would be just staying longer.
Definitely staying longer. I think a lot of that, in my opinion, has to do with like how many stands you have that night. I mean, if you only have 2 spots, you don't go 2 because you're on this end of the county and that's all you have. You can stay longer. But if you have 6, it's right here close. It's 10 minutes apart. You don't have to stay as long.
And then hunting in a tournament, right? So, when we're tournament hunting. I mean, I'm 15 minutes on stand, man, and we're headed to the next spot. We're looking for those easy, quick. Hunt as many stands as you possibly can, because like you said, if you hunt 45 minutes a stand, you're not going to, and with drive time, you're not going to get near as many stands in. So we're looking to pick cherries during the tournaments.
Man, I appreciate you coming on. Congrats for your Alpha Out Games 2 win. And I always like talking coyotes with you. And I've learned a lot just talking to you through the years, just bouncing ideas off of each other. And
right, man. Well, that's the thing too, is learning from everybody. Like I don't like the guys that think they know everything. And that was the other social media things, belittling people and stuff on social media. I'm not into that. If you think you've learned everything about coyotes, there's always something to learn, So, yeah, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on. I've had a great time.
Anybody you want to give any shout-outs to? Or
my buddy Jared Simpson helping us anchor that win, man. He did really well. I would say that he's never went west or anything. He's a little bit more of a novice hunter. He really looked like a pro that night, man. I was the novice, so he really anchored the win for us. So yeah, he did a great job, man. Like throw out to him. Of course, we get industry wise, we got to say Fox Pros are great, man. I mean, I don't think there's a better call out there, and MFK sounds have been just an absolute game changer.
Yep.
course, love my AGM, you know, all those things. So, yeah, man, I really appreciate everything. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming on. Everybody, thanks for listening. Be sure to share and like our podcast. And until next time, safe hunting. Thanks.
This has been the Alpha Outside Podcast. The dark ain't the end of the day. It's just the beginning. From expert tips and battle-tested optics to the kind of hunting wisdom you won't hear anywhere else, we've got you covered, and we hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, you can hit our website at www.alphaoutside.com. On Instagram at alpha_outside, on TikTok at alpha.outside, and on Facebook at Alpha Outside Thermal Hunting Users Group. From Morgantown, West Virginia, this is Alpha Outside, signing off.